Commander Elena Vasquez stared at the viewport, her dark eyes reflecting the strange lights flickering in the distance. She had been in space for 12 years, had seen nebulas that took her breath away and stars being born in clouds of cosmic dust, but she had never seen anything like this. "What am I looking at, Torres?" she asked her navigation officer. Lieutenant Carlos Torres pulled up the sensor data on the main screen. His hands moved quickly across the holographic display, his face pale. "Commander, the readings don't make sense. The mass signatures are off the charts, but the heat signatures are cold. Dead cold, and the field extends for millions of kilometers." Elena leaned forward in her command chair. The ship, the ESS Discovery, was humanity's 5th deep space exploration vessel. They had been mapping the outer edges of Neptune's orbit when the sensors picked up the anomaly. At first they thought it was a natural phenomenon, maybe a cluster of rogue asteroids or a fragment of some ancient planetary collision. They were wrong. As they moved closer, the viewport revealed the truth. Stretching before them was a graveyard, not of ships or people, but of technology. Massive structures floated in the void, some the size of small moons, twisted metal frames that looked like the skeletons of impossible buildings, crystalline spheres that caught and bent the distant starlight in ways that hurt to look at. Machinery so complex and vast that Elena's mind struggled to process what her eyes were seeing. "Get me a closer scan," she ordered. "And wake up Dr. Chen. Tell him he needs to see this." 20 minutes later, Dr. Marcus Chen floated onto the bridge. He was a thin man with graying hair and eyes that always seemed to be calculating something. As the lead xenotechnologist for the Earth Space Agency, he had spent his entire career studying the few pieces of alien technology humanity had discovered. There had been exactly 3 confirmed alien artifacts found in human history. Each one had advanced Earth's technology by decades. What floated before them now was not 3 artifacts. It was millions. Chen's mouth fell open. For a full minute he said nothing. Then he began to laugh. It was not a happy sound. It was the laugh of a man whose entire understanding of the universe had just been shattered and rebuilt. "Do you know what this is?" he whispered. "Do you have any idea?" "Enlighten me, Doctor," Elena said. Chen moved to the sensor station, pushing Torres aside with an apologetic gesture. His fingers danced across the controls, pulling up data streams and analysis reports. These readings. The material compositions. Some of these alloys shouldn't exist. The molecular structures are impossible by our physics. And this energy signature here, he pointed to a pulsing red pattern on the screen. That's a quantum state we've only theorized about. "In English, Doctor," Elena said patiently. Chen turned to face her, his eyes bright with an emotion somewhere between fear and excitement. "Commander, this is a dump. A garbage dump. And whoever threw this away is so far beyond us technologically that we're like ants trying to understand a nuclear reactor." The bridge went silent. Elena felt a chill run down her spine. "You're saying this is trash?" "Advanced trash," Chen corrected. "Failed experiments, broken machines, obsolete equipment. But Commander, one species' garbage is another species' treasure. If we can recover even a fraction of this material, if we can study it, reverse engineer it." He trailed off, unable to finish the sentence. Elena made her decision quickly. "Torres, send a message back to Earth. Priority Alpha, tell them we've found something. Then plot a course deeper into the field. Nice and slow. Chen, start cataloging everything you can. I want to know what we're dealing with." Over the next 3 days, the Discovery moved through the debris field like a mouse exploring a dragon's cave. Chen and his team worked without sleep, their excitement overriding their exhaustion. They sent drones out to take samples, to scan structures, to map the vast expanse of alien refuse. What they found was staggering. There were power cores the size of buildings, their internal mechanisms visible through cracked casings. Chen's analysis showed they could generate more energy than Earth's entire power grid. And according to the degraded readouts still visible on their surfaces, they were considered inefficient by their creators, discarded because they only operated at 0.01% efficiency. There were hull plates made from materials that could withstand temperatures that would vaporize any human-made metal. They had been thrown away because they had small cracks in them, imperfections that made them unsuitable for whatever purpose they had been designed for. There were data cores, most of them corrupted or damaged, but a few still holding fragments of information. The language was incomprehensible, but the mathematical principles underlying the data were universal. Chen's team found star charts, engineering diagrams, and what looked like scientific papers, all of it discarded. On the fourth day, Chen called Elena to the main laboratory. She found him standing in front of a containment field staring at something that made her head hurt to look at directly. "What is that?" she asked. "I don't know," Chen admitted, "but it's the most interesting thing we've found so far." Inside the containment field floated a collection of crystalline structures. They were angular and geometric, but their angles were wrong. They seemed to exist in more than 3 dimensions, their edges extending into spaces that Elena's eyes couldn't quite follow. The crystals were transparent, but they reflected light that wasn't there and cast shadows in directions that made no physical sense. "The alien data tags call it a dimensional resonance experiment," Chen explained. "The status is marked as failure. Instructions are to discard it." "Why is it a failure?" Elena asked. Chen shrugged. "Near as I can tell from the fragmentary data, it didn't do what they wanted it to do. But Commander, it's doing something. Look at this." He pulled up a sensor reading. "These crystals are generating gravitational fluctuations. Tiny ones, but they shouldn't be generating any. They have almost no mass. The gravity is coming from somewhere else, some other dimension or space that our physics doesn't account for." Elena studied the crystals. "What were they trying to build?" "I don't know," Chen said, "but I'm going to find out." By the end of the second week, 3 more Earth ships had arrived, along with teams of scientists, engineers, and military observers. The debris field had been given an official designation, Artifact Field Sigma-7. Unofficially, everyone called it the Graveyard. The operation to catalog and retrieve the alien technology became humanity's top priority. Nothing else mattered. The world governments, usually so divided, united in their understanding that this was the opportunity of a lifetime. Maybe the opportunity of a species' lifetime. Elena watched as massive cargo haulers attached themselves to broken structures and began the slow process of moving them back toward Earth. She watched as research teams carefully extracted samples from the larger pieces that couldn't be moved. She watched as Chen became more and more obsessed with the crystalline structures, spending every waking moment studying them. 3 months into the operation, Elena received a visitor. Admiral James Okoye arrived on his flagship, the ESS Sentinel, humanity's most advanced warship. He was a tall man with a shaved head and a scar running down his left cheek, a reminder of the resource wars that had nearly destroyed Earth 50 years ago. They met in Elena's ready room, a small office attached to the Discovery's bridge. "Commander Vasquez," Okoye said, accepting the coffee she offered him. "You've done well here. Humanity owes you a debt." "Thank you, sir," Elena replied. "But I'm just the one who found it. Dr. Chen and his team are the ones doing the real work." Okoye nodded. "I've read Dr. Chen's reports. Fascinating stuff. Also terrifying." Elena raised an eyebrow. "Terrifying, sir?" "Think about it, Commander," Okoye said, leaning back in his chair. "Whoever dumped this technology here did so because it wasn't good enough for them. They threw it away like we throw away broken smartphones. That means somewhere out there's a civilization so advanced that all of this—" He gestured toward the viewport, toward the vast field of impossible technology, "is garbage to them." The weight of his words settled over the room like a heavy blanket. "What does that mean for us?" Elena asked quietly. "It means we're children playing with tools we don't understand," Okoye said. "But it also means we have a chance. If we can learn from this, if we can study it and understand it and maybe even improve on it, we might be able to survive when we finally meet the ones who threw it away." "You think we'll meet them?" "I think it's inevitable," Okoye said. "We've had faster-than-light travel for less than 10 years, Commander. We've barely started exploring our own galactic neighborhood. But these artifacts, this dump, it's here for a reason. This is their trash disposal site, which means this region of space is important to them, even if only as a place to throw away their junk." Elena felt that chill again, deeper this time. "What do you need from me, Admiral?" "Keep doing what you're doing," Okoye said. "Map the field, catalog everything, send it all home. But be careful. We're poking around in someone else's garbage dump. If they come back and find us here, we need to be ready to either explain ourselves or run like hell." After Okoye left, Elena stood at the viewport for a long time, staring out at the graveyard. Somewhere in the distance, Chen's team was extracting another batch of crystalline structures. The lights from their work drones flickered like fireflies against the darkness of space. She thought about what Okoye had said. Children playing with tools they didn't understand. It was true. Everything humanity had achieved, all their technology, all their science was primitive compared to what floated in the void outside her window. But children grew up. They learned. They adapted. And humanity had always been very good at adapting. Her communicator chimed. It was Chen, his voice excited and breathless. Commander, you need to see this. I've been analyzing the crystalline structures, comparing them with other artifacts we've recovered. I think I've found something. A pattern. What kind of pattern? Elena asked. The kind that suggests these aren't random failures, Chen said. The kind that suggests someone was building something big, and they never finished it. Elena felt her pulse quicken. I'm on my way. As she left her ready room and headed toward the laboratory, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that humanity had just reached a turning point. They had found the graveyard by accident, stumbled upon it while exploring their own solar system. But what they did with this discovery would define their species' future. Would they be cautious, studying the technology slowly and carefully, or would they be bold, pushing forward with the desperation of a species that knew it was outmatched and outgunned by an uncaring universe? Elena suspected she already knew the answer. Humanity had never been cautious. It was not in their nature. They were survivors, adapters, fighters, and now they had access to the discarded tools of gods. 18 months had passed since the discovery of the graveyard. Dr. Marcus Chen stood in his laboratory on the moon, surrounded by fragments of alien technology that would have seemed like magic to humanity just a few years ago. The lab was deep underground, carved into the lunar rock and shielded by every defense system Earth could build. What happened here was the most classified project in human history. Chen had not been home to Earth in 4 months. He barely remembered to eat. His wife had stopped calling after he missed their anniversary for the 3rd time. None of it mattered. Nothing mattered except the puzzle spread out before him. The crystalline structures floated in a massive containment field in the center of the lab. Chen had collected 47 fragments from the graveyard, each one tagged by the aliens as a failed experiment. Each one discarded as useless. But Chen had seen something the aliens had not. They were pieces of the same machine. Computer. Display overlay pattern Delta 7, Chen said, his voice hoarse from lack of sleep. The holographic display shifted, projecting lines of force between the crystals. The lines pulsed with data, showing how gravitational fields interacted, how dimensional stresses flowed from one fragment to another. It was beautiful and terrifying and impossible. Dr. Sarah Kim entered the lab carrying 2 cups of coffee. She was Chen's senior assistant, a brilliant quantum physicist who had given up a comfortable teaching position to work on the project. She handed 1 cup to Chen, who took it without looking away from the display. You need to sleep, Marcus, she said gently. I need to understand this, Chen replied. Look at the pattern, Sarah, really look at it. Sarah studied the holographic display. She had seen it 100 times before, but she looked again because Chen asked her to. I see gravitational resonance patterns, quantum entanglement links, dimensional phase shifts that our math says shouldn't exist. Yes, Chen said excitedly. But why do they exist? The aliens marked these as failures. Each crystal was supposed to do something specific, and each one failed at its intended purpose. This one, he pointed to a large amber crystal, was supposed to generate stable exotic matter. It doesn't. It generates exotic matter for 0.3 seconds before the matter destabilizes and vanishes. So it's a failure, Sarah said. By itself, yes, Chen agreed. But look what happens when I bring it near this one. He gestured, and the holographic display showed him moving the amber crystal closer to a blue-black crystal that seemed to absorb light. This crystal was supposed to create a stable dimensional pocket. It also fails. The pocket collapses after 0.5 seconds. Sarah watched as the simulation ran. The 2 crystals came near each other and something changed. The exotic matter from the amber crystal didn't vanish. Instead, it flowed into the dimensional pocket created by the blue crystal. The pocket didn't collapse. It stabilized, sustained by the exotic matter. Oh my God, Sarah whispered. Now watch this, Chen said. He added a 3rd crystal to the simulation, a green one that pulsed with inner light. This one was supposed to redirect gravitational fields. It failed because it couldn't generate enough power. In the simulation, the stabilized dimensional pocket began to affect local space-time. The gravitational field warped, bent, twisted in ways that made Sarah's head hurt, and the green crystal suddenly had all the power it needed, drawing energy from the warping space-time itself. "They're not individual failures," Chen said, his voice shaking with emotion. "They're components, parts of a larger system. The aliens tried to build each piece to work independently, but that was never the design. These pieces need each other. They're interdependent." Sarah set down her coffee cup because her hands were shaking. "What are you saying, Marcus?" Chen turned to face her, and she saw in his eyes something that frightened her. Not madness, but a conviction so strong it was almost religious. "I'm saying that the aliens who built these were too specialized. Their science, their technology, it's all built on perfection and isolation. Each component must work perfectly on its own. If it doesn't, it's a failure. Discard it and start over." Chen gestured at the crystals floating in the containment field. "But that's not how the universe works. Real systems are messy. They're interconnected. They compensate for each other's weaknesses." "You're talking about emergent properties," Sarah said slowly. "Exactly," Chen said. "Separately, each crystal is a failure. Together, they create something that works. Something the aliens never saw because they never thought to try combining failed experiments." Sarah walked closer to the containment field, staring at the crystals. "What do they create, Marcus? When you put all 47 pieces together, what do you get?" Chen pulled up another simulation. This one showed all 47 crystals arranged in a complex three-dimensional pattern. The pattern was beautiful, almost organic, like a flower made of light and mathematics. When the simulation activated, the crystals began to resonate with each other. The display showed gravitational fields warping, dimensional barriers thinning, space-time itself bending under forces that should not exist, and at the center of it all, a point of perfect stillness where the normal rules of physics simply stopped applying. "I don't know exactly what it creates," Chen admitted, "but I know what it can do. It can manipulate gravity on a massive scale, not just local gravity like moving a ship or bending light. I'm talking about gravitational manipulation on an astronomical scale." "How massive?" Sarah asked, though she wasn't sure she wanted to know the answer. Chen met her eyes. "Galactic scale, Sarah. This device, if it's completed, could manipulate the gravitational fields that hold galaxies together." The lab went silent except for the soft humming of the equipment. Sarah felt like the floor had dropped out from under her. "That's impossible." "The aliens thought so too," Chen said. "That's why they threw the pieces away. They couldn't make it work because they couldn't see past their own assumptions. But humans, we're different. We're adaptable. We see connections where others see chaos. We make tools from other people's trash." Sarah's mind was racing. "Marcus, if you're right, if this device can do what you think it can do, we can't build this. We shouldn't build this. It's too dangerous." "It's too dangerous not to build it," Chen countered. "Sarah, we're alone out here. Humanity is a child species in a galaxy full of adults. We found this graveyard by accident, but what happens when the ones who dumped it here come back? What happens when we meet a species that considers this level of technology to be garbage? So your solution is to build a doomsday weapon?" "My solution is to build a tool," Chen said firmly. "A tool that gives humanity a chance. A tool that makes us relevant in a universe where we're currently nothing more than interesting bacteria." Sarah wanted to argue, but she couldn't find the words. Because Chen was right. Humanity had been lucky so far. They had explored their corner of space without encountering any hostile aliens. But luck ran out eventually. "Have you told anyone else about this?" Sarah asked. "I sent a preliminary report to Admiral Okoye," Chen said. "He's scheduled to visit next week. What do you think he'll say?" Chen smiled, but it was a tired, sad smile. "I think he'll tell me to build it. And I think I will, because I don't see any other choice." Over the next 6 months, Chen's theory was tested and retested. Other scientists were brought in, sworn to secrecy and shown the simulations. Some agreed with Chen's conclusions. Others thought he was insane, but none of them could disprove his mathematics. The breakthrough came when they discovered more pieces in the graveyard. Chen had created a search algorithm based on his understanding of the pattern, looking for specific types of failures. The algorithm found 38 more crystal fragments scattered throughout the debris field. When all 85 pieces were brought together and arranged according to Chen's calculations, something extraordinary happened. The crystals began to resonate on their own, without external power. They were recognizing each other, connecting in ways that the alien creators had never intended but that were somehow built into their fundamental design. It was Chen's assistant, Dr. Yuki Tanaka, who put it into words that everyone could understand. "It's like someone designed a car," she said during a briefing. "But they built the engine separately from the wheels, separately from the steering wheel, and when none of the parts worked on their own, they threw them all away. They never tried putting them together because their instructions said each part should work independently." Admiral Okoye, who had become the military overseer of the project, leaned back in his chair. "And we're going to assemble the car." "Yes, sir," Chen said. "But it's not a car. It's more like a tool for reshaping reality on the largest possible scale." "Can it be weaponized?" Okoye asked bluntly. The room went silent. Chen had known this question was coming, but he still hated having to answer it. "Anything that can manipulate gravity can be weaponized, Admiral. You could use it to crush a planet or tear apart a star, or scatter an entire solar system across light years of space. But that's not what it was designed for." "What was it designed for?" Okoye asked. "I think it was designed to reshape galaxies," Chen said quietly. "To move stars, to redirect dark matter flows, to adjust the large-scale structure of space-time itself. I think the aliens who started building it wanted to become architects of the cosmos. And they failed," Okoye observed. "They gave up," Chen corrected. "They couldn't make it work with their approach, so they discarded the pieces. But the potential was always there." Okoye was quiet for a long moment. Then he stood up. "Dr. Chen, I'm authorizing you to proceed with full construction. We're going to build this device. We're going to test it. And we're going to hope that when the aliens who dumped this technology come back, we'll have something to show them besides our surrender." Chen nodded. He had expected this decision, but hearing it spoken aloud made it real in a way that frightened him. They were going to build a machine that could reshape galaxies, a machine made from garbage. After the meeting, Sarah found Chen in his office staring at a holographic projection of the complete device. The pattern of 85 crystals hung in the air, rotating slowly, beautiful and terrible. "Are we doing the right thing?" Sarah asked. Chen didn't answer immediately. He watched the crystals turn, watched the simulated energy flows pulse through the pattern like blood through veins. "I don't know," he finally said, "but I know we're doing the human thing. We find broken pieces and we fix them. We take what others discard and we make it useful. That's what we do. That's what we've always done. Even if it destroys us, especially if it might destroy us," Chen said, "because the alternative is waiting here helpless until someone else decides our fate. At least this way we have a choice. We have agency." Sarah nodded slowly. She understood his logic, even if she didn't entirely agree with it. "When do we start construction?" "Tomorrow," Chen said. "We start building tomorrow." He didn't sleep that night. He lay in his small quarters, staring at the ceiling, thinking about what they were about to do. Somewhere out there, beyond the stars, was a civilization that had tried to build what Chen was now attempting. They had failed. They had given up. They had thrown away their broken dreams and moved on to other projects. But humans didn't give up. Humans looked at broken things and saw potential. They looked at failure and saw opportunity. Chen just hoped that this particular human trait wouldn't be the thing that finally destroyed them. Outside his window, Earth hung in the black sky, a blue and white marble floating in the void. It looked so peaceful from here, so fragile. Chen wondered if the people down there understood what was being built in their name. He wondered if they would thank him or curse him when they finally learned the truth. He supposed it didn't matter. The decision had been made. The path was chosen. Humanity was going to build an engine that could command galaxies. And they were going to build it from garbage. Sarah wanted to argue, but she couldn't find the words. Because Chen was right. Humanity had been lucky so far. They had explored their corner of space without encountering any hostile aliens. But luck ran out eventually. "Have you told anyone else about this?" Sarah asked. "I sent a preliminary report to Admiral Okoye," Chen said. "He's scheduled to visit next week. What do you think he'll say?" Chen smiled, but it was a tired, sad smile. "I think he'll tell me to build it. And I think I will, because I don't see any other choice." Over the next 6 months, Chen's theory was tested and retested. Other scientists were brought in, sworn to secrecy and shown the simulations. Some agreed with Chen's conclusions. Others thought he was insane, but none of them could disprove his mathematics. The breakthrough came when they discovered more pieces in the graveyard. Chen had created a search algorithm based on his understanding of the pattern, looking for specific types of failures. The algorithm found 38 more crystal fragments scattered throughout the debris field. When all 85 pieces were brought together and arranged according to Chen's calculations, something extraordinary happened. The crystals began to resonate on their own, without external power. They were recognizing each other, connecting in ways that the alien creators had never intended but that were somehow built into their fundamental design. It was Chen's assistant, Dr. Yuki Tanaka, who put it into words that everyone could understand. "It's like someone designed a car," she said during a briefing. "But they built the engine separately from the wheels, separately from the steering wheel, and when none of the parts worked on their own, they threw them all away. They never tried putting them together because their instructions said each part should work independently." Admiral Okoye, who had become the military overseer of the project, leaned back in his chair. "And we're going to assemble the car." "Yes, sir," Chen said. "But it's not a car. It's more like a tool for reshaping reality on the largest possible scale." "Can it be weaponized?" Okoye asked bluntly. The room went silent. Chen had known this question was coming, but he still hated having to answer it. "Anything that can manipulate gravity can be weaponized, Admiral. You could use it to crush a planet or tear apart a star, or scatter an entire solar system across light years of space. But that's not what it was designed for." "What was it designed for?" Okoye asked. "I think it was designed to reshape galaxies," Chen said quietly. "To move stars, to redirect dark matter flows, to adjust the large-scale structure of space-time itself. I think the aliens who started building it wanted to become architects of the cosmos. And they failed," Okoye observed. "They gave up," Chen corrected. "They couldn't make it work with their approach, so they discarded the pieces. But the potential was always there." Okoye was quiet for a long moment. Then he stood up. "Dr. Chen, I'm authorizing you to proceed with full construction. We're going to build this device. We're going to test it. And we're going to hope that when the aliens who dumped this technology come back, we'll have something to show them besides our surrender." Chen nodded. He had expected this decision, but hearing it spoken aloud made it real in a way that frightened him. They were going to build a machine that could reshape galaxies, a machine made from garbage. After the meeting, Sarah found Chen in his office staring at a holographic projection of the complete device. The pattern of 85 crystals hung in the air, rotating slowly, beautiful and terrible. "Are we doing the right thing?" Sarah asked. Chen didn't answer immediately. He watched the crystals turn, watched the simulated energy flows pulse through the pattern like blood through veins. "I don't know," he finally said, "but I know we're doing the human thing. We find broken pieces and we fix them. We take what others discard and we make it useful. That's what we do. That's what we've always done. Even if it destroys us, especially if it might destroy us," Chen said. "Because the alternative is waiting here helpless until someone else decides our fate. At least this way we have a choice. We have agency." Sarah nodded slowly. She understood his logic, even if she didn't entirely agree with it. "When do we start construction?" "Tomorrow," Chen said. "We start building tomorrow." He didn't sleep that night. He lay in his small quarters, staring at the ceiling, thinking about what they were about to do. Somewhere out there, beyond the stars, was a civilization that had tried to build what Chen was now attempting. They had failed. They had given up. They had thrown away their broken dreams and moved on to other projects. But humans didn't give up. Humans looked at broken things and saw potential. They looked at failure and saw opportunity. Chen just hoped that this particular human trait wouldn't be the thing that finally destroyed them. Outside his window, Earth hung in the black sky, a blue and white marble floating in the void. It looked so peaceful from here, so fragile. Chen wondered if the people down there understood what was being built in their name. He wondered if they would thank him or curse him when they finally learned the truth. He supposed it didn't matter. The decision had been made. The path was chosen. Humanity was going to build an engine that could command galaxies. And they were going to build it from garbage. Chen pulled up a star chart. Imagine you're a civilization millions of years old. You've colonized thousands of star systems. But stars are born, evolve, and die on their own schedule, not yours. Some stars burn too hot, making their planets uninhabitable. Others grow dim and cold. If you could move the stars themselves, adjust their positions, you could optimize your entire galactic empire. That's insane, Patricia said, but she was looking at the engine with new understanding. That's thinking on a scale we've never considered, Chen corrected. But it makes sense. Why else would you need to manipulate gravity on such a massive scale? Elena made a decision. We need to test it. We need to see if the engine can actually move a stellar object. We can't test it on our own sun, Patricia said quickly. Even a small mistake could doom Earth. I'm not suggesting we test it on Sul, Elena said. There's a rogue planet about 3 light-years away. It was detected 5 years ago. A Jupiter-sized world drifting through space without a star. If we can move that, we'll know the engine works. The proposal went up the chain of command. Admiral Okoye approved it after 3 days of consideration. The test was scheduled for the following month. On the day of the test, Elena stood in the observation deck watching the engine power up. The crystalline structure glowed with inner light, energy flowing through pathways that human hands had built but that seemed to follow some deeper, more fundamental pattern. Chen was at the control station, his hand steady despite the magnitude of what they were about to attempt. Engine power at 50%. Dimensional phase locks engaged. Gravitational targeting array focused on the rogue planet. Distance, 3.2 light-years. How is it targeting something 3 light-years away? Patricia asked. It's not, Chen explained. It's targeting the gravitational signature of the planet. Space and distance are flexible concepts when you're manipulating the fabric of space-time itself. The engine reaches through dimensional spaces we don't fully understand. That's comforting, Patricia muttered. Engine power at 75%, Chen continued. Resonance cascade building. All systems nominal. Captain, we're ready. Elena took a deep breath. This was it. The moment that would prove whether humanity had built something miraculous or something catastrophic. Proceed with the test, Dr. Chen. Chen's fingers danced across the controls. Initiating gravity manipulation sequence. Target locked. Displacement field forming. Activation in 3, 2, 1 mark, the engine sang. There was no other word for it. The crystals emitted a sound that resonated through the station, through the very atoms of everyone present. It was a harmonic that touched something deep in the human brain, something ancient and primal. On the sensor displays, impossible things were happening. Space around the engine was warping, folding, reaching across the impossible distance to the rogue planet. The numbers scrolling across the screens were meaningless to anyone except the specialists, but their expressions told Elena everything she needed to know. It was working. Displacement field stable, one of the operators reported. Gravitational lock confirmed. Beginning spatial translation. How long? Elena asked. 7 seconds, Chen said. His voice was shaking. In 7 seconds, we'll know if the engine can do what I think it can do. Those 7 seconds lasted an eternity. Elena watched the displays, watched the energy levels spike and stabilize, watched the impossible mathematics resolve into something almost comprehensible, and then it was done. The engine's song faded. The glow dimmed. The displays returned to normal. A report, Elena ordered. The sensor operator was staring at his screen in disbelief. Target planet has been relocated. New position is 0.7 light-years from its original location. Structural integrity of planet is intact. No fragmentation, no gravitational stress damage. It's like we just picked it up and moved it. The room exploded into chaos. People were shouting, crying, laughing. They had done something impossible. They had reached across 3 light-years of space and moved a planet. But Chen was quiet. He was staring at the readouts with an expression that Elena recognized. It was fear. What's wrong? She asked him. We moved it too easily, Chen said. The power requirements were less than 10% of what I calculated. The engine is more efficient than it should be, more powerful than it should be. Maybe your calculations were wrong, Elena suggested. Or maybe the engine is more dangerous than we realized, Chen said. Captain, we didn't just move that planet. We reached across light-years of space and manipulated gravity in ways that shouldn't be possible. And we did it casually, easily, like flipping a light switch. Elena felt a chill run down her spine. What are you saying? I'm saying we've built something that can reshape the structure of space itself, Chen said. We've built an engine that can command galaxies, and I'm terrified of what happens next. Outside the viewport, the engine floated in space, beautiful and terrible, a flower of crystal and light that had just proven it could move worlds. Humanity had taken the discarded failures of an advanced alien civilization and turned them into something the aliens themselves could never build. They had succeeded where their betters had failed. But success, Elena was beginning to realize, came with its own dangers. They had built a tool of incredible power. Now they had to decide what to do with it, and hope that the ones who had thrown away the pieces never came back to see what humanity had made. The detection came 6 weeks after the successful test. A deep space monitoring station near Jupiter picked up unusual energy signatures approaching from the galactic core. The signatures were unlike anything in humanity's database, moving at speeds that suggested technology far beyond Earth's capabilities. Admiral James Okoye stood in the command center of Earth's orbital defense platform, watching the tracking data with growing concern. The unknown vessels were still weeks away at their current speed, but their trajectory was clear. They were heading directly toward the graveyard, toward the debris field where humanity had found the alien artifacts. "How many ships?" Okoye asked. "Sensors are reading 47 distinct signatures," the tactical officer reported. "Mass displacement suggests they're large, possibly capital ships. And Admiral, they're broadcasting on channels we've never detected before. Some kind of identification beacon. Can we decode it?" Okoye asked. "Working on it now, sir. But Admiral, there's something else. The energy signatures match the residual traces we found in the graveyard. These ships are the same technology as the artifacts." Okoye felt his stomach drop. The aliens who had dumped their technology in human space were coming back. And they were coming in force. "Get me Captain Vasquez at Foundry Station," Okoye ordered, "and activate the emergency protocols. If these visitors are hostile, we need to be ready." At Foundry Station, Elena received Okoye's transmission with a sense of inevitable dread. She had known this moment would come eventually. They all had. Humanity had been playing with fire, and now they were about to get burned. "Dr. Chen," she called over the station intercom, "we have incoming vessels." "Alien vessels? You need to see this." Chen arrived at the command center within minutes, still wearing his laboratory coat. He studied the tracking data, his expression thoughtful. "Catherine's signatures," he said quietly. "Catherine?" Elena asked. "I found references to them in some of the data fragments we recovered," Chen explained. "The Catherine Confederacy. They're the ones who dumped the artifacts here. A vast empire that spans thousands of star systems. And if my translations are correct, they've been the dominant power in this region of the galaxy for over 50,000 years. 50,000 years, Elena repeated, her voice hollow, and we thought we were ready to face them with one experimental device. To be fair, it's an experimental device that can move planets, Chen pointed out. But yes, we're severely outmatched in every other way. The alien fleet arrived at the edge of Earth's solar system exactly 3 weeks later. They didn't attack immediately, which Elena took as either a good sign or a very bad one. Instead, they held position near the orbit of Neptune and sent a transmission. It took humanity's best linguists and computer systems 12 hours to decode the message. When they finally understood it, Okoye called an emergency meeting of Earth's global leadership. Elena and Chen joined via holographic link from Foundry Station. Okoye stood at the head of the conference table, his face grim. "The message has been translated," Okoye said. "The Catherine Confederacy is demanding that we surrender all artifacts recovered from their disposal site. They're giving us 72 hours to comply. If we refuse, they will, quote, sterilize the contamination and restore proper order to the sector. They're going to wipe us out," the president of the Pacific Union said, her voice shaking. "They're going to destroy Earth because we picked up their garbage." "Not just because we picked it up," Chen said quietly. Everyone turned to look at his holographic image. They detected the gravitational anomaly when we moved the rogue planet. They know we've built something from their discarded technology, and they're terrified. Terrified. The European premier asked, "They have 47 warships and 50,000 years of advancement. What do they have to be afraid of?" "Us," Chen said simply. "Think about it from their perspective. They dump their failed experiments in what they consider a wasteland. Then, less than a decade later, a primitive species that just discovered faster-than-light travel has not only recovered the artifacts but has successfully built something the Catherines themselves couldn't complete. We've accomplished in a few years what they failed to do in millennia. Of course they're terrified. So what do? Okoye asked. Surrender the engine and hope they're merciful? Or fight a war we can't possibly win? Elena spoke up. We do what humans have always done. We adapt, we survive, and we make them understand that we're not a threat to be eliminated but a potential ally. How? The African Coalition chairman asked. How do we negotiate with a species that sees us as contamination to be sterilized? We show them what we've built, Elena said. We show them that human ingenuity solved a problem their rigid thinking couldn't. And we make them realize that destroying us would be a waste of potential. Okoye considered this. It's a gamble. They might see a demonstration of the engine as a threat. Everything we do at this point is a gamble, Elena countered. But if we surrender without showing them what we're capable of, they'll definitely destroy us. At least this way we have a chance the decision was made. Humanity would respond to the Kethran ultimatum with a demonstration of the engine's capabilities, followed by an offer of peaceful cooperation. The transmission was sent. The response came back within an hour. The Kethrans would send a delegation to observe the demonstration. But their warships would remain on high alert, ready to attack if they perceived any threat. 3 days later, a single Kethran ship approached Foundry Station. Elena watched it arrive, her heart pounding. The vessel was elegant, all smooth curves and gleaming metal, like a work of art that happened to travel through space. It made humanity's angular utilitarian designs look primitive by comparison. The Kethran delegation consisted of 5 individuals. They were tall, easily 8 feet in height, with elongated limbs and skin that shimmered with iridescent patterns. Their eyes were large and multifaceted like an insect's, but their overall appearance was surprisingly elegant. The lead Kethran introduced itself through a translation device. I am Scholar Commander Tethra of the Kethran Confederacy. You have violated protocol by taking resources from a designated disposal site. However, your primitive status allows for educational correction before enforcement. Explain your actions. Elena stepped forward. She had been chosen as the primary negotiator, partly because of her role in discovering the graveyard, and partly because she had a talent for diplomacy. We discovered the artifacts while exploring our own system. We meant no disrespect or violation. We simply saw an opportunity to learn and grow. You took that which was discarded as unworthy, Tethra said. The translator couldn't convey emotion, but Elena sensed disapproval in the alien's posture. You have contaminated yourself with failure. We prefer to think of it as learning from your experience, Elena said carefully. What you saw as failures, we saw as lessons. What you considered unworthy, we found valuable. Impossible, another Kethran said. The experiments were conducted according to perfect protocols. They failed because the principles were flawed. No useful technology can be derived from flawed principles. With respect, Chen said, stepping forward, your protocols were perfect for your way of thinking, but we approach problems differently. We saw connections you didn't see because you weren't looking for them. Demonstrate, Tethra commanded. Show us what you believe you have accomplished. Then we will determine if your species deserves continued existence or requires elimination for the safety of galactic order. The threat was delivered calmly, matter-of-factly, which made it all the more chilling. Elena led the delegation to the observation deck. Through the viewport, the engine floated in space, its crystalline structure catching and refracting the distant light of the sun. The Kethrans stopped. Every one of them froze in place, their multifaceted eyes fixed on the engine. For a long moment, they said nothing. Then Tethra spoke, and for the first time, the translator conveyed emotion. Shock. That configuration, those are the dimensional resonance experiments, Series 47 through 93, all documented failures. Yes, Chen confirmed. Failures when used individually, but when combined in the right configuration, they form a functioning system. Impossible, Tethra repeated, but with less certainty this time. Each component was tested extensively. Each one failed to meet specifications. Combining failures cannot produce success. In your paradigm, no, Chen said, but we work with a different paradigm. We call it emergent functionality. Systems that work not because each part is perfect, but because the parts complement each other's imperfections. Show us, Tethra demanded. Prove that this configuration functions. Elena nodded to Patricia, who was managing the control systems. Dr. Okoye, if you would. Patricia activated the engine. The crystals began to glow, their resonance building. The Kethrans watched, their body language suggesting a mixture of disbelief and growing horror. "We're going to perform a simple demonstration," Elena explained. "There's a small asteroid cluster approximately 1 million kilometers from here. We're going to relocate it." "Relocate?" Tethra asked. "You mean destroy it with gravitational shear?" "No," Elena said. "We're going to move it intact to a new location." The engine sang. Space warped, and the asteroid cluster simply vanished from its original location, reappearing 500,000 kilometers away, completely undamaged. The Kethrans erupted into what the translator rendered as alarm and confusion. They spoke rapidly among themselves in their own language, too fast for the translation device to keep up. Finally, Tethra turned back to the humans. "You have accomplished what 12,000 years of Kethran research could not. You have created a functional dimensional relocator from components we discarded as irredeemable failures. This should not be possible." "But it is possible," Chen said gently. "And we did it by thinking differently than you do." "This changes everything," Tethra said. The scholar commander seemed shaken, a crack in the composed demeanor. "The Confederacy must be informed. Your species has demonstrated capabilities that challenge our understanding of technological development. Does this mean you won't sterilize us?" Elena asked, trying to keep her tone light. Tethra was silent for a moment. "The Confederacy will debate this. Some will argue that a species capable of this must be eliminated before they become a threat. Others will argue that your unique perspective has value. The debate will take time." "How much time?" Okoye asked, having joined the meeting via holographic link. "Weeks, perhaps months," Tethra said. "Until then, I am authorized to inform you that the deadline for surrender has been postponed. However, our fleet will remain in your system. If you attempt to use the device aggressively, or if you attempt to leave this solar system, we will interpret it as hostile action and respond accordingly. So we're prisoners in our own home," Okoye said flatly. "You are under observation," Tethra corrected. "There is a difference." After the Kethrans left, Elena, Chen, and Okoye held a private meeting. "They're afraid of us," Elena said. "Actually afraid." "They should be," Chen said quietly. "We've proven we can innovate in ways they can't. We've shown that their 50,000 years of advancement doesn't make them infallible. That's got to be terrifying for a species that's dominated this region for so long." "The question is," Okoye said, "what do we do now? We can't just sit here waiting for them to decide our fate." "We build more engines," Elena said. Both men turned to stare at her. "Chen, how long would it take to build a second one?" "A third? We already have the pieces," Chen said slowly. "We could build 3 more in maybe 6 months now that we know the configuration works." "Do it," Okoye ordered. "But quietly. If the Kethrans find out, they might attack immediately." "They'll find out eventually," Elena pointed out. "Eventually is better than immediately," Okoye said. "We need leverage. Right now we have 1 engine and a solar system full of frightened people. If we have multiple engines, we have options." As the meeting broke up, Elena looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Kethran fleet waited, 47 ships full of beings who had to decide if humanity deserved to live. And hidden in the Kuiper Belt, human engineers were already beginning work on the second engine, building humanity's future from alien garbage and human desperation. The galaxy had noticed them now. There was no going back. 5 months had passed since the Kethran fleet arrived. 5 months of uneasy standoff, with alien warships watching humanity's every move. 5 months of frantic, secret construction as humanity built its insurance policy against extinction. Captain Elena Vasquez stood in the command center of Foundry Station, watching the tactical display. 3 new engines now existed, hidden in different locations throughout the solar system. 1 near Jupiter's orbit, 1 deep in the asteroid belt, and 1 beyond Pluto. Together with the original engine at Foundry Station, humanity now possessed 4 devices capable of manipulating gravity on a galactic scale. The Kethrans didn't know about the new engines. At least, Elena hoped they didn't. The construction had been done with every stealth technology humanity possessed, every deception they could devise. But the Kethrans had 50,000 years of experience. It was possible they knew everything and were simply waiting to see what humanity would do. "Captain," the communications officer called out, We're receiving a transmission from the Catherine flagship. They're requesting a meeting with you, Dr. Chen and Admiral Okoye. They say the Confederacy has reached a decision. Elena felt her heart begin to race. This was it, the moment that would determine humanity's future. Tell them we'll meet on neutral ground, the observation platform near Mars orbit. 2 hours later, Elena found herself face to face with Scholar Commander Tethra once again. Okoye and Chen flanked her, presenting a united human front. The Catherine delegation had grown. There were now 12 of them, each representing different factions within the Confederacy. The debate has concluded, Tethra announced without preamble. The Confederacy has determined that your species represents an unacceptable threat to galactic stability. Your ability to innovate beyond established principles, to create functional technology from documented failures, suggests a fundamental unpredictability that cannot be tolerated. Elena felt ice water in her veins. You're going to destroy us. The formal term is controlled extinction, another Catherine said. This one's translator identified it as a military commander. Your world will be rendered uninhabitable, but the process will be swift and painless. Your species will be preserved in our databases, a cautionary tale about the dangers of unguided technological development. That's very considerate of you, Okoye said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. Killing us painlessly. We take no pleasure in this, Tethra said, but we have maintained order in this region for 50 millennia. We cannot allow a single unpredictable species to destabilize that order. The decision is final. You have 12 hours to make peace with your end. No, Chen said quietly. The Catherines turned to look at him. No, Tethra repeated. You misunderstand. This is not a negotiation. This is an announcement of inevitability. I understand perfectly, Chen said. And I'm saying no. You're not going to destroy humanity. Because if you try, we'll show you why unpredictability is not a weakness. It's a strength. You have one functional device, the military commander said dismissively. We have 47 warships, each capable of sterilizing a planet. Your engine is impressive, but it is not a weapon. It relocates objects. That will not save you from our firepower. You're right, Elena said, picking up on Chen's strategy. Our engine isn't a weapon, it's much worse than that. Dr. Chen, would you like to explain? Chen pulled up a holographic display. It showed a star map, with the Catherine core worlds highlighted. You've been very forthcoming with information about your empire, Scholar Commander. 50,000 years of existence. Thousands of colonized systems. All of it held together by carefully maintained trade routes, communication networks, and gravitational stability. What is your point? Tethra asked. My point is that you've built your entire civilization on the assumption that the large-scale structure of space is fixed and predictable, Chen said. Stars stay where they are. Planets orbit in regular patterns. Gravity is constant. You've optimized everything for that predictable environment. As would any rational species, Tethra said. Probably, Chen agreed. But we're not rational, not by your standards. We're adaptable, and we've built a device that can make your predictable universe very unpredictable indeed. Chen manipulated the display. The map zoomed in on a single star system labeled as Catherine Prime, the home system of the Confederacy. This is your capital, your seat of government, your cultural heart, the center of your civilization. Beautiful system, very carefully positioned at the gravitational nexus of your trade network. If you are threatening our homeworld, the military commander said, its voice taking on a dangerous tone, then you are proving our assessment correct. I'm not threatening to destroy it, Chen said calmly. I'm threatening to move it. The Catherines went silent. Elena could see their body language shifting, confusion, and something that might have been fear rippling through the delegation. Move it? Tethra asked. You mean relocate our entire star system? Just like we relocated that rogue planet, Chen confirmed, but on a much larger scale. We've been running simulations. The engine, operating at full power, can reach across 50,000 light-years, and relocate your home system to a new position in the galaxy. We wouldn't destroy anything. We wouldn't harm anyone. We'd just move your capital to somewhere inconvenient. Maybe the galactic rim. Maybe between galaxies entirely. That is impossible, the military commander stated. The gravitational manipulation required to move an entire star system across such distances would tear it apart. You're probably right, Chen said. By your mathematics, by your physics, it's impossible. But we've already done impossible things with your discarded failures. Want to bet your homeworld that we can't do this too? This is madness, Tethra said. You would condemn yourselves. Even if you succeeded, even if you moved Kethrin Prime, our fleet would still destroy you. Probably, Okoye agreed. But then your capital system would be lost, scattered across the galaxy or stranded in intergalactic space. Your government would collapse, your empire would fracture. And all because you decided that a species capable of innovation was too dangerous to tolerate. Elena stepped forward. But it doesn't have to be that way. We don't want to be your enemy, Scholar Commander. We want to be your partner. We want to show the galaxy that different ways of thinking can complement each other, not threaten each other. You are blackmailing us, Tethra said. Yes, Elena admitted. We absolutely are. Because it's the only language you seem to understand. You are ready to exterminate us to preserve your order. We're showing you that exterminating us would cost you everything you've built. The Kethrans conferred among themselves, their rapid speech overwhelming the translation devices. The conversation went on for several minutes, voices rising and falling in what seemed like heated debate. Finally, Tethra turned back to the humans. You are bluffing. You could not possibly have the power to move a star system across such distances. Would you like a demonstration? Chen asked. He pulled up another star map. There's an uninhabited, binary star system about 12,000 light-years from here. No planets, no resources, nothing of value. We could move it just to prove the point. If you activate your device at that power level, we will interpret it as an act of war and attack immediately, the military commander warned. Then you'll never know if we were bluffing, Elena said. You'll destroy humanity, and you'll spend the rest of eternity wondering if your homeworld was about to vanish because you didn't believe we could do what we said. The standoff stretched on. Minutes passed in tense silence. Elena could feel sweat running down her back despite the climate control. Everything they had built, everything humanity had achieved balanced on this moment. There is another option, Tethra said finally. A third path between your extinction and our submission to blackmail. We're listening, Okoye said. You claim your way of thinking is valuable, that human innovation can solve problems Kethrin methods cannot, Tethra said. Prove it. Not with threats, but with results. There are problems in the galaxy that the Confederacy has been unable to solve for millennia. Help us solve them. Show us that your unpredictability is an asset rather than a threat. What kind of problems? Chen asked. Tethra pulled up a new display. It showed regions of space marked in red. These are areas where the normal laws of physics appear to be breaking down. Stars are aging faster than they should. Space itself seems to be tearing. We have studied these phenomena for 10,000 years and made no progress. If your unique approach can provide solutions, then perhaps your species has value to the galactic community after all. Elena looked at Chen and Okoye. She could see the same thought in their eyes. It was a trap, obviously, but it was also an opportunity. A chance to prove that humanity deserved a place among the stars. We accept, Elena said. On one condition. You leave our solar system. All 47 ships. You give us space to work, space to breathe. And you treat us as equals, not as primitives to be managed. Equals, the military commander scoffed. You have existed in space for less than a decade. And in that decade, we've built something your 50,000-year-old empire couldn't, Elena countered. That earns us some respect. Another conference among the Kethrans. This one was longer, more heated. But eventually, Tethra spoke again. The fleet will withdraw to the edge of your system. We will establish a permanent embassy on your moon to facilitate communication, and we will provide you with all our research on the anomalous zones. If you can provide solutions within one standard cycle, we will grant your species provisional membership in the galactic community. And if we can't, Elena asked, then we will reassess your value to galactic stability, Tethra said. It was not quite a threat, but the implication was clear. "Deal," Elena said before anyone could argue. The Kethran fleet withdrew the next day. It was a tense, cautious retreat, with weapon systems still powered and shields still active. But they left, moving to positions at the edge of the solar system where they could observe but not immediately threaten. Humanity erupted in celebration. They had faced extinction and won a reprieve through courage, ingenuity, and a healthy dose of bluffing. But Elena couldn't celebrate. She stood in her quarters on Foundry Station, looking at the data the Kethrans had provided about the anomalous zones. The information was dense, technical, and deeply troubling. Chen found her there an hour later. "You saw it too," he said. It wasn't a question. "These aren't natural phenomena," Elena said quietly. "Something is causing these breakdowns in physics. Something is deliberately damaging the fabric of space. Something very old and very powerful," Chen agreed. "The Kethrans don't know what it is. They've been studying it for 10,000 years and they're terrified. And they want us to figure it out," Elena said. "Why? Why would they think we could solve something they couldn't?" "Because we see patterns they don't see," Chen said. "Because we're used to working with broken things and making them functional. Because maybe, just maybe, our unpredictability is exactly what this problem requires." Elena pulled up a long-range scan, looking beyond the solar system, beyond the Kethran territory, into the deep spaces between galaxies. "What if there's something out there, Chen? Something that makes the Kethrans look primitive, something that's been watching and waiting." "Then we'd better figure out how to deal with it," Chen said. "Because now everyone knows we exist. The Kethrans know. And if the Kethrans know, then sooner or later, whatever's out there in the dark will know too." "Are you scared?" Elena asked. "Terrified," Chen admitted, "but also excited. For the first time in human history, we're not alone in the universe. We're not safe, we're not comfortable, but we're relevant. We matter." Elena nodded slowly. "We built an engine that commands galaxies from garbage." "What else can we do?" "I guess we're about to find out," Chen said. Far above them, the engine floated in space, its crystalline structure catching the light of the distant sun. It was beautiful and terrible, a testament to human ingenuity and human desperation. It was a tool, a weapon, and a promise all at once. Humanity had reached for the stars using discarded dreams and broken tools. They had proven themselves capable of innovation beyond their years, adaptation beyond their experience. They had earned their place at the galactic table through a combination of brilliance, audacity, and sheer stubborn refusal to accept extinction. But the table they had joined was larger than they had imagined. The Kethran Confederacy was just one empire among many, and the anomalous zone suggested problems that no one, not even civilizations 50,000 years old, understood. Elena looked at the engine one last time before returning to work. They had built something incredible from alien trash. Now they had to prove that humanity's greatest gift, seeing potential where others saw failure, was exactly what the galaxy needed. Outside the solar system, in the vast darkness between stars, something ancient stirred. It had noticed the gravitational anomalies. It had observed the impossible device built from discarded components. And it was curious about the young species that had announced its presence to the cosmos in such a dramatic way. Humanity had wanted to matter. They had wanted to be noticed. They had achieved their goal. Now they would discover if that was a blessing or a curse. But whatever came next, they would face it the way they always had, with ingenuity, determination, and the absolute refusal to accept that anything was truly impossible. They were human. They built miracles from garbage, and they were just getting started.